Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here we talk about philosophy and disability theory. And this is the third episode in my series on the Netflix series Wednesday. So this week we're going to be focusing a little more on the philosophy side of things. We're going to talk about two things in terms of philosophy. One, Wednesday's increasing and rather alarming tendency to misquote great philosophers. Last time it was Machiavelli, this time it is Voltaire. And then we're going to talk briefly about friendship and how Wednesday may not succeed terribly well in the virtue of being a terribly faithful quoter of great philosophers, but she is actually doing quite well in achieving friendship as a virtue as understood by Aristotle. And now, an incorrect Voltaire quotation.
You know, if you came, it would be the perfect opportunity for you to get to know the wolf pack better. As Voltaire once said, the happiest of lives is a busy solitude. You can't avoid people forever. Ironic, considering you've been avoiding Ajax. He keeps dropping gifts at the door like some desperate raccoon. Just didn't expect my relationship with Bruno to heat up so quickly. I mean, we literally skipped right past the talking phase.
Wednesday drops the eye in a jar.
I just don't know how to break things off with Ajax.
A quick blow to the head should suffice.
So French Enlightenment philosopher Voltaire was not a huge fan of solitude. He may have said that somewhere, at some point, sarcastically, but I could not find it anywhere. And ladies and gentlemen, I scoured the internet. So I think that is Wednesday, once again, trying to make a point by quoting a great philosopher that she's not super familiar with. So Voltaire would be quite unlikely to be this into solitude because he was actually much more excited by the idea of cooperation and connection between people. He's one of the earliest philosophers of what we might now consider egalitarianism. So he was very interested in the idea that it is possible for people to cooperate across religious differences and differences of all types, really. And he was very interested in egalitarianism. So he would be quite unlikely to be that into solitude. Okay, so in this moment, Wednesday might not be really nailing her quotes, but she is actually being quite a good friend to Enid. And because she's really engaging with friendship in this interesting way, I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the greatest philosophy about friendship ever. And that is, in my view, Aristotle's classic Nicomachean Ethics, which is a book about how to live well and virtuously. It's a hand guide, essentially, on living a good life. And he goes through a number of what he believes are very important virtues that are kind of critical elements to a good life well lived. And one of the most important virtues is friendship. And I think he really nails what it means to be a good friend, and also some ways in which we can fail to be a good friend. So for example, in the beginning of his discussion of friendship, he notes that when you're trying to be a good friend, if you're the kind of person who just bends over backwards to be good to people and is always just there for everybody no matter what they do, you're always self-effacing, you never take offense no matter what, you're not really the kind of person in a good position to be a great friend quite yet, because in order to be a good friend, you have to have essentially self-respect. And also, if you're at the other extreme, if you are being blunt and rude and intense all of the time, Wednesday, and you never ever bother to think about the pain that you might be causing other people, you're also not really in a good position to actually be a good friend quite yet. So what you have to do is find the midpoint between extremes. And for Aristotle, this is called the golden mean. And to achieve any virtue, what you really need to do is hit that midpoint between being way too much and not quite enough. You've got to hit the middle point between those extremes. And a classic example is courage. It's going to mean different things for different people. Courage. If you go out one fine evening and you get into a situation where you are watching someone else get mugged, what courage looks like is really different if you are a black belt and a big, strong, muscular person, or if you are a slight person with no martial arts prowess. If you're really big and bulky and you have a black belt, the brave thing might be to tackle somebody. And if you are slight and have no martial arts acumen, the brave thing might be to call the cops from behind the nearest pillar. And it's really going to depend what you are. And this is going to be the same for the virtue of friendship. So what it means to be a good friend is going to be different based on your personality type and who you are, what situation you are in. But some things that are always going to be necessary for friendship is first going to be the desire for friendship. You need to want to be friends with somebody. And throughout season 1, we saw Wednesday kind of gradually get there. She came to Nevermore, not Hogwarts. And she really didn't even know she wanted a friend yet. The first step was realizing she wanted a friend. And when she did that, fantastic. The next step is to make sure that you're not just making friends that you want to use. So for Aristotle, that's a kind of a first stage to friendship. You know, you want to be friends because your friend's funny or they're interesting. So you want to be friends with them because you want that humor in your life. For Wednesday, it's more, I want to be friends with you because you'll be useful as I try to solve this murder. And that's an attempt at friendship, Aristotle would say, but not quite friendship itself yet, because if you're just essentially using someone to get something, that's an attempt at friendship, maybe. But it's not quite actual friendship yet. And you haven't yet succeeded at that virtue of friendship until you have come to a place where you and your friend are actually trying to learn to be better people together. And we see this, I would say, in this little vignette, in this little moment with Wednesday and Enid. Wednesday is werewolf best friend, joking around together. We can see that there's warmth in this connection, and they're trying, I would say, to be better together. And that's how you become a real friend, according to Aristotle. See you next Wednesday. Subscribe if you would like. Cheers!